Good morning, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you might be doing. We wish to welcome you to the Silverlight Show. The Silverlight shines to illuminate that which lies hidden in darkness. Of course, once again, we're recording during bright daylight, so the darkness goes away. I've been thinking recently a lot about how we got ourselves into this situation. Not just the pandemic, but the economy in general. The pandemic did not help, but the economy was already trending downward. Not for the billionaires and the trillionaires, mind you, just for people like you and I. Back in the 90s, I remember being a little bit techie as I am, there were a lot of people who were raising the praise of the service economy. Yes, in the future, it was going to be all about services, not goods. The manufacturing jobs, because nobody wants a manufacturing job, they would be going over to India and China, and in return, we would be working service jobs. And it was important to have a service that you could offer. Just like the plants here. Some offer fruit, some offer aromatics, and some are just here for decorations and good luck. And that's exactly what happened. China and India, and now places like Vietnam and Malaysia, have taken over the manufacturing jobs. They've continued the age-old tradition of not paying your workers properly. Who cares if it's a dangerous environment? You have a deadline to meet. You have a quota to meet. And you know what? If you don't grow and build exactly the way I want it, I'll replace you. I can get another one like that. I don't know where that dust came from. Anyway, and that's exactly what happened. The low-paying jobs went overseas, and right now are being done for people who literally make a matter of $1 to $5 a day. And over here, we've entered into the whole service industry. There's not much manufacturing going on in North America aside from military hardware. But what we do is we give services to each other. That's fantastic. But there's really only so many coffees that you can sell. There's only so many massages that can be given out. And there's not that demand for the services that we already have. I use coffee as an example. Most people like their cup of coffee or tea to start the day. Realistically, that's probably about the easiest business to start. Lowest overhead, lowest costs, all that sort of thing. But unless you have that foot traffic coming up, it means nothing. Sure, you're going to get one or two people desperate for their cup of coffee, but you need a sustainable amount of people to support yourself, your employees, and your inventory, not to mention whatever it costs you to rent the building or to buy the building. This is where the pandemic has really exposed the weakness in the Western model. By getting rid of the manufacturing jobs, it's really deprived a lot of people of a baseline job with a decent income. Manufacturing jobs are almost never minimum wage. When I was in that sector myself a long time ago, I was going to be a pallet rebuilder, which means you get the pallets in, you rebuild them, put some extra wood in them. That was your job. Minimum wage at that time, I believe, was about $7 or $8, and that was about $10 to $12 for me to do it. A lot of banging on wood and banging in nails and stuff like that all day. Relatively boring, but at the same token, wasn't bad work for an 18-year-old that was in the middle of several phases of his life. Those jobs no longer exist. We, in this local area, I'm going to name, we're in the Greater Toronto area at the present time. We used to manufacture furnaces in Etobicoke. They would then ship those furnaces down to Ohio, where they would put a sticker on them. That's right, a sticker. And then ship a fully assembled furnace back so it could be sold on the Canadian market. For some reason, nobody ever thought to ship the stickers up, even though it makes perfect sense. But in economic sense, it doesn't make any sense. And this is why the service industry, while it is important, will never be able to benefit a whole economy. Let's just casually look outside right now, and we're still under lockdown. Notice that people, even though it's a relatively nice day, people aren't even out in their gardens. People are inside. Maybe they're getting pizza delivered, but they're not planting their gardens. They're not clearing anything. The trees aren't being cut. None of those services is being used. Again, this is partially because of the pandemic. It's also because people cannot afford those services because the economy doesn't support it. Sure, it's great to be able to go out to your Tim Hortons, your Starbucks, whatever it is, and have your morning coffee. But you know what? If you're not getting paid, you're going to make that coffee at home. I feel bad for the people that don't know how to cook right now, because while this, to me, looks like a meal, to them it looks like green stuff. And no, I wouldn't recommend eating the leaves. I don't believe they're poisonous, but I'll just wait for them to fruit. So that's an entire service that people are cutting out to save money. The The Bank of Canada and several other sources are trying to claim this is fantastic. There is a huge savings coming up because people are saving their money. Yes, people are putting away whatever money they can, but because they're afraid of the worst. What happens if next week I don't have the money to make my telephone bill? What happens if next month I can't pay my electric bill? You need to have those savings in place. Now, the banks are looking at that and thinking, great, we're getting money to get invested in mutual funds, stocks, guaranteed interest certificates, all those products. And they're saying, we're having a great time. But most of the people are doing that out of desperation. Sure, they would love to go out and have a nice steak and lobster dinner at the Keg or Red Lobster, whatever is in your mind. They want to be using the services, but they can't. Not only the services closed down, but even if they were open, people are pinching their pennies right now. It's really a depressing state. So when you have a service-based economy, and there's no services required in the economy, aside from a few, I mean, just across the road, the Starbucks closed down. You would never figure you'd see a Starbucks closed down, and I've been in there a couple times. They're not my preferred place to go, but at the same token, a little bit of change is nice. And Starbucks, they had the clientele. They were always busy in the morning. They're always busy any time that I went over there. But they shut down. Starbucks did not have the ability to fund their franchise through a difficult time. I haven't seen Tim Hortons close down anything yet, but I'm sure a few of their franchise holders are pretty close to bad times. After all, it's been a year, and while people still have their addictions, coffee is an addiction, just like cigarettes, alcohol, and drugs. Caffeine is absolutely a drug. So sooner or later, people, whether it be the nice people over here, the nice people over here, maybe to the left of my right, maybe to my left, maybe behind me, maybe me. But I don't use Tim Hortons or Starbucks or anything. I haven't in years. Because it's just simpler to make it at home. And people are learning from the internet. They're doing things at home. Look on Facebook Marketplace and you're going to see tons of people selling services from their home, some of which are dubious, but the underground economy has become the economy. Service industries still exist, but they're underground industries. And I'm not talking about prostitution or anything like that, but I'm talking people who can cut your lawn, shovel your snow in the winter, stuff like that has always been underground. But this year, there's actually competition for those jobs. It's not just the person that can't get a job that needs a little bit of extra money. Everybody is looking into that because there's nowhere else. The service economy shuts down if the money doesn't circulate through it. And that's why it's a shell game. Does the money go here? Does the money go there? Does the money go back there? Where is the money going and where's the money coming from? The service economy has been a massive, massive failure. And it's being exposed right now. North America is a continent of warehouses. We mostly ship things from point A to point B. When it gets to point B, it gets distributed to stores, to places, wherever it needs to go. But the important thing is, it's all money going in a loop, at least at our level. The banks see that money going in a loop. They're still selling their bonds. They're still selling their stocks. They still are making a good money, and the rich are still making good money. It's those of us at the bottom that are stuck. And unless we start to learn to be self-sufficient, this will help me be self-sufficient, but I'm not going to be able to trade it with my neighbors for anything. This is realistically not going to last a year. This is not going to last a month. It's going to start growing, then it's going to stop. That's the way of nature in Canada. You have about 3 to 4 weeks to gather fresh food, and then either you preserve what you had and you had too much, or you starve. So grocery stores are going to be necessary, but what else is going to be necessary? And I don't know if you've noticed, grocery stores keep going up and up with their prices. So the little bit of money that's circulating between those of us in the service economy is simply not going anywhere. It goes to the grocery stores, and grocery stores are not great centers of profit. We all complain that cabbage and milk and whatever is going up in price. But that's not going to the farmer. You don't see rich farmers out there. You see rich mega corporations. You don't see rich grocery store owners out there. They have franchise fees, they have rentals, they have the exact same problems as any other business. And this needs to stop. We either need to get people into the idea of inventing their own services and selling them online, which has been mostly monopolized by things like Fiverr, Amazon, YouTube, whatever it might be. But for the average person, what are they going to do? Sew some beads together and sell them as a necklace? That's what they're going to have to do. So we've shifted from a manufacturing society to a service society to basically back to medieval times, where to make a little bit extra money on the side, you would do what you could. During the winter, you would quilt a blanket. You would do whatever it was, and that would be your task, so that way you could sell it at the next spring fair and hopefully bring a little money into your family. That's the service economy we're heading to, unless people around the world get remarkably inventive. So, the service economy is really a dead-end economy. Even if you're a pro athlete and you're worth multi-millions of dollars and you hire personal trainers and stuff like that, for every personal trainer like that that gets to the glory, there's 100 that are still struggling to get by. Psychologists and therapists, they struggle to set up their business. It's not just they open their doors and clients magically flow in. If you're a game developer or a writer or anybody who produces something in art, that picture over there, never finished it. Sorry, that's my fault. That's just for me only. But you can't be producing that on a regular basis and be making money. You got to attract clientele, let them know that you're there. And that's the part of the service industry that was never explained to us. It was just get computer skills, get yourself computer literate, and everything will be fine. Well, we did that. The only thing we have is the ability to complain on Facebook and Twitter. So we need to get out of the mind of a service economy. It doesn't work. You're always going to need jobs so that the service economy can flow. Who buys that cup of coffee to keep the service economy going? Anyways, just random thoughts from my downstairs office, looking over my lush little forest of beauties that will be going outside soon. I wish to thank you for listening to the Silverlight Show. We appreciate your time, and by all means, if you want to support the show, like, subscribe, and buy one of the books. After all, if you do that, you're helping my little part of the service economy. Past that, we hope everybody has a fantastic day.